right, now we've done the hard work of defining the gap. Let's move on to step 2, which is designing a realistic roadmap to close that gap. And so I say realistic because here's what we have to do. There's a lot of different things. People come to us at all different ages. They might be 30 years old. They might be 70 years old. Very different seasons of life, and they have very different goals and very different appetites to close that gap, depending on where they're at. It's been my experience, there's kind of 4 levers for business owners to pull on to close those gaps. Now, first one, it's time. Second one, it's capital. Third one, appetite for new risk or change. And then lastly, it's the energy bucket. So let's take those one at a time. We're trying to close a gap in terms of increasing where we are today to that desired future state. Time. For some people, this is a very different currency. If you have a health issue, well, you don't have a lot of time. If you're 30 years old and you don't have any dependents, it's like an infinite amount of time to go change what you want to do. But if you're not going through the discipline to kind of understand what you have available to work with, you're not going to get where you want to go. So assessing like what amount of time is available to help me get where I want to go on time. I mentioned the grandkids scenario. There's a lot of folks that, hey, I'm 70 years old and my grandkids, they're getting older. I don't want to miss everything. Well, that creates some very specific directional guidance on how we need to think about that. So let's move on to capital. A lot of folks, they'll say, I'm all about growth, about creating value, but I'm not putting any more capital into the business beyond what I've already done. Some might say, I would put a ton of capital. I just don't have any. So if I can get it to help grow the business, I'm all about it. But this is a lever that we need to get an understanding on, because if you want to create value, your either possession or access to capital is going to have significant influence on how much value you can create and how fast you can create it. So we need to take inventory on that bucket there. The third thing is appetite for risk and change. Now, I hear this all the time. I think this is particularly relevant right now because there's so much change in technology. There's so many things that are requiring business owners to adapt. And I hear people say all the time, like, hey, I'm 65 years old. If I was 40 years old, I'd be mopping the floor with people right now, but I just don't have any appetite to reinvent myself at this stage of my career. Some people get energy off reinvention. The point is you need to take inventory. Where are you at on that level? And then lastly, this energy side. I think for some folks, it doesn't matter how old you are. Look at our president. The guy's got more energy than anybody that I can think of. Love him or hate him, he is an energizer buddy. But the point is, you need to have an honest conversation about how much energy do you have to move the needle. I see a lot of 60 to 70-year-old business owners that, again, they have all the knowledge. They don't have the gas in the tank to do what is required or what could transform the business of a company. And I also see a younger generation where, hey, they bootstrapped it up, and when they didn't have any dependents, that was fine. But now they've got a young wife, they got a couple of kids, and it's just different. And so there's no energy left after addressing all those things. The point is, I've never seen a business owner that checked every single one of those things. So if you want to create a roadmap, back to the realistic comment, we have to take inventory on those and then build a strategy to go create value that is honest about what you're willing to part with of those 4 things and what you're willing to put back in and back on the table. Because if you're not willing to put any risk on the table, you might as well exit right now. Practically, how do we take that information in and apply it into an actual roadmap that will help us have more influence over the timing of our sale? Well, there's a host of different things, but just for example, let's just say that you're not willing to upgrade your fleet. Might be another $15 to $20 million add-on to the balance sheet. You're not comfortable doing that. Well, how that's helpful in terms of helping you understand the timing of your sales, like, well, if you're not going to be doing then that, you're now working with depreciating assets, you're going to be increasing the maintenance costs. It's almost impossible to increase the value of the business. So we need to start developing a roadmap to help you get off this current path as soon as you possibly can. So I think that's a very specific example. Perhaps maybe there's some changes going on right now that you don't feel equipped. Maybe you're on the asset light side, or maybe you're in freight tech or some element of that, and that's a key part of your business. And you feel like you can't keep pace. You have a lot of other attributes. It may not mean that you need to exit necessarily, but maybe you need to bring on a partner who brings the type of sophistication to help you be more competitive into the future? I think those are the types of questions. And then having a timeline associated with trying to bring on that capital or that specific expertise to help you accomplish what you want to accomplish. Those are the types of examples I think that we can tie the levers that we're trying to assess and try to understand how we can advance your current position, and then tying that to a specific roadmap with a timeline to help you have more influence over some type of future exit.